The Russo brothers are back to remind us that they might not be the MCU saviors we need. Their new huge blockbuster film, The Electric State, came out exclusively on Netflix last week. Oh. Well, that's too bad. Anyway, I did a review on it. I did not care for the film, and now it's time to go into spoilers. And I believe the commentary I provide here is valuable for two reasons. Number one, it saves you from watching a 2-hour pile of crap. And number two, it's a nice way to blow off some steam. All right, with that intro out of the way, it's full steam ahead. Set in an alternative 90s timeline, technology has advanced a little bit faster than it did for us. For starters, they have VR headsets that are actually immersive. And this is going to be a problem for people because they're going to spend a majority of their time living in these virtual fantasy worlds instead of actually engaging with people online and living there instead. The other big advancement is in the robot sector. People have been clamoring for a robotic Mr. Peanut. And in this timeline, the scientists, they cracked that nut. Speaking of nuts, before I bust one talking about this movie, if you wouldn't mind hitting that subscribe and the notification bell, that way future videos by me show up in your feed. Because as you can see, I'm super professional here and take everything incredibly serious. I mean, we are talking about a big sci-fi film that went straight to Netflix starring Millie Bobby Brown and Christopher Pratt. What the hell is more serious in this world than that? The film opens with Millie Bobby Brown's character Michelle peeking in at her brother Christopher as he's taking a very important, very intense test. I think Millie's supposed to be playing a teenager, not really pulling that one off, but it doesn't matter. She has a good relationship with her brother, okay? She's really proud of him. He's like the smartest dude in the world is the idea I'm getting, and that's absolutely going to be the case. Unfortunately for Michelle, these interactions with her brother are only going to last so much longer. Because we are on the brink of war. For the next few years, humans are going to be battling against the very worker bots they created. Yeah, we have an animatrix situation here. Robots are used as slaves to do all the chores and things that we don't want to do. And then an uprising occurs and they fight back. So how the hell are humans going to overcome this obstacle? Well, by fighting fire with fire, of course. We build more robots, ones that can be controlled via VR headsets. We get some 4:3 aspect ratio footage of the war that ensues. We see Keats, at one point played by Chris Pratt. He was in the war, he fought these robots. That's going to be the entirety of his backstory. And then we hit fast forward on the VCR, 4 years into the future. The war has ended. Man has won. But they didn't wipe out all the robots, they kept them contained. Why? Why not wipe them out? I don't know. They signed a treaty or something? A majority of the robots hang out in a dilapidated mall where they can be their own thing. And you know what? They've made that house a home. Things post-war don't seem to be much improved for humans though. They're still very much attached to these devices at all times. In fact, it's mandatory to use them when you get to a certain grade level. I mentioned how Michelle's time with her brother is fleeting, and that's because, sadly, tragically, he dies. Along with her parents. I mean, yeah, we had 4 years of a war, there's gonna be a lot of casualties on both sides, but no, they actually died in a car accident by hitting a deer. What? Could you imagine? That's like the biggest fuck you. They survived 4 years of a war only to hit a deer crossing the road? Come on. As I was watching The Electric State and starting to fall asleep about halfway through because everything about it is super cliche, generic, and boring as all hell, I kept in the back of my mind thinking, nay, hoping that we were going to get a big plot twist reveal that the main villain of the film was the deer that they hit with their car. He somehow survived and was half animatronic with an eye patch and a scar, of course, down the side of the face. It would have been just awesome. Unfortunately, it seems the deer did not make it. Early on, we established Michelle's in a foster home. Her parental guardian is George Costanza, who is really living out the summer of George over at his place. He's got his reclining chair, he's got his own headset, he's not really paying much attention to Michelle. That is until she steals his car, and the reason she does so is because a robot comes into her life who she's never seen before, but he sounds awfully familiar. And he looks awfully familiar. Hang on a second, that's because it's the crappy cartoon her and her brother used to watch together on MTV. I grew up in the 90s and I didn't even know that MTV had cartoons outside of Daria, and was Beavis and Butthead on MTV? I think that was Comedy Central. Regardless, I don't remember any show even remotely close to the crap that they were watching. Also, the show they're watching felt like something more from the 80s. Terrible taste in television aside, this is the robot that the brother has presented himself as. And unfortunately, he's only relegated to using catchphrases that have been programmed to this machine. She catches on very quickly, though, because he does a C on the chest. And that's a thing that they used to do when they were younger. C, cowabunga, cool, crazy. Now that we established her brother is somehow still alive, a ghost in the machine, the real plot kicks in. Road tripping it across the country to find his human body. I don't know if that's enough of a plot to hold up for 2 hours, but that's exactly what it's gonna have to be. Now, I watched this movie a couple days back, so I've already memory holed pretty much everything that happened. But I know it had something to do with finding the packages in the back of the dad's car, George Costanza's car. And then that somehow led them to Chris Pratt's character, Keats, who has a really stupid looking mustache and hairstyle. Not that I should talk, I've needed a haircut for about a month now, but let's push past me, okay? I'm not a Hollywood celebrity. The only thing they really have to go on is a doctor with glasses operated on the boy. That's really narrowing it down. That doctor is played by Ki-Hu Kwan. He has a very bit role in this film, but he will also be an 8-bit character, so multiple bits in the movie, as he programmed his voice along with tens of thousands of words onto a computer. All right, we learn a little bit about Keats. He's basically a pawn shop dealer. He's selling a lot of 80s and 90s memorabilia to folks. And he's one of the few humans that can travel in and out of the exclusion zone, I believe it's called. But for robots, it's really the inclusion zone. They're all kind of living in harmony except for the scrapper bots on the outside. And he's able to do this with the help of his best buddy, Herman. Herman's a plucky robot who takes no guff from anyone. They have a real odd couple situation going on, complete with some sexual tension. You heard me. Yeah, a big plot reveal at the end of this film is Herman takes one for the team. He gets shot by some weapon somewhere, and he's laying in Keats' arms. Keats, by the way, really stupid name. But anyway, Keats is sitting here holding the little buddy going, not like this, not like this. Herman, starting to take off into that Transformers robot heaven, hears a couple final words from his friend, where Keats talks about the good old days with him, how they're best friends, and sometimes he thinks maybe even more. What? Are we doing a solo thing again? And now I'm disappointed that we went through this whole movie and there wasn't any Keats on Herman action. At least something interesting would be going on. Alright, so Keats and Herman agree to help Michelle and her stupid brother find his dumb body, but they're also going to be teaming up with some unconventional robots, including the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Peanut. Unfortunately, while all this is going on, Sentry, the evil corporation behind the VR headsets, has caught wind of this rogue robot, a robot that is very special to them. Because it turns out Christopher's brain is running this entire operation. Every single robot under the command of Sentry goes through his mind. What a really stupid ass plot that is, but that's what we're going with. In order to retrieve their product, they decide, in their infinite wisdom, to seek out and hire the Butcher of Schenectady himself, Colonel Bradbury. The Colonel is a very serious, no-nonsense individual. He walks around like the T-1000 in his mech suit. And to really sell how serious and threatening this individual is, they're gonna digitally put Giancarlo Esposito's face on this robot, and I can assure you, it looks dumb as shit every single time. When we're first introduced to him, it's in Keats' warehouse bunker area. Keats has a massive collection of pop culture memorabilia. There's Talking Bass on one side. I'm sure you could find a collection of Garbage Pail Kids, Beanie Babies, Pogs, Cabbage Patch Kids. It's all there somewhere. But the Butcher is also there, and he has a gun so ridiculously powerful, one pull of the trigger shoots this massive sonic burst of red laser and wipes out massive sections of the place. Keep in mind, he's supposed to be taking these people alive. I don't really understand his thought process, but blindly blasting sections of this room while you can't see a lick of anything, probably not the best approach. Unfortunately, our heroes survive, and they get away. Also, I want to point out, this is supposed to be a massive company who has access to tons of robots, drones, all sorts of military equipment, but they're just gonna send out this one hunter guy to handle the most important problem they could possibly face. The entire mother brain of their system has gone rogue. This should be a DEFCON 5 level event. Send out every drone you have, all your little worker bee robots. Not some jackass who's famous for butchering a bunch of robots in Schenectady, of all places. What the hell did the inhabitants of that beautiful city do to you? Also, as an aside, this massive company appears to be nothing more than Stanley Tucci and his secretary. There's like no workers at this company making decisions. Where's the board? Where's anyone? All right, Mr. Peanut, some mail lady, and a few other dumb characters like a fast-pitch robot machine. They're gonna head out with Millie Bobby Brown, Chris Pratt, and the robot kid. Anyway, they thwart the hunter. They track down the scientist guy who is responsible for leaving a back door in the code so the boy could escape his body and go into the machine. Otherwise, he's trapped in his human form for hundreds of years as a vegetable. This is the plot. This was the plan for the company. To make a vegetable kid to run all the machines. It was almost too easy. This is gonna be our first big action scene of 2. And by big, I mean incredibly disappointing and lame. We have a night fight. The drones finally show up. The butcher infiltrates the hideout. The stupid fast-pitch robots throwing balls at guys. Mail ladies throwing mail at people. I'm really good at this because I have to run from dogs. Mailman joke. And we finally get the 1v1 we've all been hoping for. The Hunter versus Mr. Peanut. The scene is jarring and comes out of nowhere, by the way. The group's together, they take off, and then just suddenly the hunter's inside the basement and Mr. Peanut's there waiting for him. I've been expecting you. Let's dance. Not bad. Goodbye, Mr. Peanut. It's time to planters you down into the ground. Oh, nuts. No, yeah, this movie sucks. Mr. Peanut loses his hat, it gets ripped off. Doesn't matter, he puts it back on later, so what was the point? I do think he was monocleless for a second during the fight. He probably took it off so that wouldn't break. Eventually, our crew makes it to the building. I don't know how they got there so fast. I thought it was thousands of miles away. They made it there in like an afternoon. We have our big Endgame-esque fight scene. This is the Russo brothers after all, and we have man versus machine. The scale is gonna be immense. There's gonna be tons of creative action moments, and no, it's really nothing more than some slow motion here and there, robots stomping down on the ground. Chris Pratt, now relegated to the role of Rocket Raccoon, is in the hand of his giant friend who powered up in a bigger mech suit, while Millie Bobby Brown infiltrates the building and gets past 2 security guards. It was almost too easy. Where is the staff? Does nobody work at this place? Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, I have no idea what happened to the bad guy of this film, Stanley Tucci. I don't even know what happened to the butcher. I think he lives to fight another day and he kind of becomes good at the end. As for Tucci's character, question mark. Butcher might have killed him, not sure, I don't know, I don't care. But the brother is gonna be taking one for the team. He realizes he's gotta self-sacrifice. He has to go back into his human body and his sister has to pull the plug. If he doesn't do this, a lot of innocent people are gonna die. For some reason. I truly forgot. I'm sorry, I forgot. This movie went in one ear and out the other. It's actually remarkable I can remember even this much. So Michelle says goodbye to her brother. Once again. She lost him twice. It's really a shame. And this is the moment of the film I really wanted to hear in the background, a slow clap. And then from out of the shadows, the android deer walks in. Impressive. I didn't think you'd make it this far. Sorry to fangirl out over this. I really wanted that to be a thing. On the battle side of things, I already told you Herman dies, supposedly. And Chris Pratt once again has to showcase his acting chops, delivering another powerhouse performance like he did in Guardians 3. I'm joking. I'm being incredibly sarcastic. No, here he's completely phoning it in. Everybody is. Herman lives! That little shit. He was joking. there's always another smaller body or another way he can get out of it. And so, yeah, a little tiny version of him pops out at the end. That's fun. For someone, somewhere, not me. So that's the electric state. A complete waste of time. I already mentioned in my regular review that it looks nice. There's definitely a lot of money thrown at this thing, and you can tell. The effects are solid, the robots look great. Ironically, the greatest criticism I could give it is as cliche as the movie itself, which is to say, the script felt like it was generated via AI. Nothing about this thing feels sincere, and I know it's based on a book that's supposedly really good, but the Russos managed to find a way to really butcher this thing. And it should give people pause for just what we should expect from another Avengers two-parter. But we'll find out. Let me know if I missed anything important that I should have covered, like Chris Pratt, I guess, at one point eating a Twinkie that was covered in beans. Laugh. I think I covered all the big stuff though. All right, let me know if you watched this movie. Please like the video. Again, think of subscribing if you haven't. I post lots of movie commentary, live streams, things of that nature, all movies all the time. Would love to have you stick around. Hopefully, I catch you next time. Oh my God, it's the deer. Thanks again for watching the video. If you wouldn't mind, I would appreciate it if you checked out patreon.com/AdamDoesMovies. That's where fans of my channel go to help support it. There are different tiers with different offerings, exclusives every month. We got multiple movie reviews. There's a vlog monthly. And even if you don't want to plop down $1 a month, you can just sign up for Patreon for free and become a member at no charge. Appreciate your time. Thanks.